What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Saturday in Athens GA Podcast. My name is Marshall Barton. We're going to jump right into it. We took a break last week. We're getting back into fall camp. Fall camp is over now, but I wanted to go over some of my takeaways, I guess, from the camp in general. Some players you may need to be watching to burst on the scene for Georgia in 2025. Some players who made some ground on the depth chart. One of the biggest notes there would be Juan Gaston, who just took or is starting to make ground in the right guard position battle. He's battling Daniel Calhoun and Michael Uni. All of them are first or second year players. And Gaston is really kind of taking the lead there. He's been getting most of the reps. As far as we can tell, a lot of the times Kirby will give everyone a bunch of first team reps, and I mean that's kind of how it typically works, just to see who plays well with what team. You'll see it happen with the quarterback a good bit, but he's definitely taking a majority of reps there, so that's something to look forward to or look towards as far as position battles. Another interesting one, which we just got an update on this past weekend, or some sort of indicator, was Ellis Robinson taking the start over Daniel Harris. I don't think it's a big indicator. I think it's definitely something to watch. Daniel Harris has been playing hurt. He has been a little banged up. Same sort of deal, though, as well. Both players are going to get first-team reps. Both players are going to play a lot regardless of who does take that starting cornerback spot or the CB2 spot opposite of Dalen Everett. DeMello Jones will also play. Freshman or sophomore or redshirt freshman. Very highly rated recruit out of Georgia in the 2024 cycle. So that's something cool, something to look forward to. As I spoke on last week or the last podcast, the offensive line, now that Juan Gaston's really making some progress there, the offensive line is pretty much set in stone for the most part. You've got Juan at right guard, you got Drew Bobo at center, left guard, Micah Morris. So I'm very excited to see Micah Morris, another one of those Georgia players who really has a lot of talent and just hasn't been able to show it because of the number of talented players ahead of him. Kind of been the story for Georgia since 2021. Really the whole time Kirby's been there, but mainly those years you'd see so many talented players just not see the field because they've got so much NFL talent already ahead of them and just older than them. I think Michael Morris is one of those players. So I'm excited to see him. Monroe Freeling back at left tackle, and as we said about Monroe Freeling, he was pretty embarrassed about that Sugar Bowl performance. He was playing hurt. Several things just didn't go his way. I think he'll be great this year. I was a little too harsh on him after that game, definitely. And then you've got Ernest Green playing at right tackle, or that's what it currently looks like, what he's been at recently. I really like that move. I think that's good to have at least two guys with some real starting experience. Drew Bobo has a couple games, but I'm excited to see that group. I think that group has been really overhated for a long time this offseason. I know that the past couple weeks, Georgia fans at least, or Georgia insiders, have gained some more confidence and comfort watching that line develop. So excited to look at them. Next thing I wanted to go into was some breakout players that I think will be breakout players for Georgia in 2025. These are kind of players you would expect. Some of them might be, but other ones, I'm just thinking players who are maybe have been quieter in the first couple of seasons and are really going to showcase their talent this year, put some good production on film, on tape, and really just be big impact players for Georgia. First one, Gunnar Stockton. Gunnar has been on Georgia. This is his fourth year being with Georgia, which I do want to say that's pretty impressive. Being in Gunnar's shoes, staying at a place for 4 years, where a lot of players in this day and age of college football would leave for guaranteed starting jobs or NIL. Gunnar stuck it out with Georgia. Georgia really is lucky to have a guy like Gunnar because of his dedication to the state, to the team. It's very exciting to see what we've heard about Gunnar, some of the things we've seen. The way he carries himself is very much like a quarterback one. But even besides that, I think having an offseason to really be the guy, be the quarterback one, and he's already learned the system very well. I think just the experience and knowing where to look on a certain read or a throw or a certain progression, knowing his numbers and just being out there and repping it with the ones over and over again. I'm really excited to see how he can do. Also think he's a very accurate quarterback. And one thing that not enough people are talking about is how violent Georgia's rushing attack can be when they have a running quarterback. You saw it with Stetson Bennett. And what's interesting is when Georgia had JT Daniels, who I love JT Daniels. This is not a shot at him at all. I feel very bad about what happened to him, or I feel bad for him. point being, when Georgia had JT Daniels in a pocket guy, a guy who's not going to roll out and make a bunch of throws on the run, he's not a very mobile guy, at least compared to a guy like Stetson. Your running game is pretty bad at that point in the year. Like week 3, South Carolina 2021, Georgia was like 100th something in rushing attack or rushing yards per game in the country. That's what you get when you have a guy who's a pocket passer. Then you put in a guy like Stetson Bennett who can run, and your rushing attack and your rushing yards per game shot up definitely the next year when you had an even more elite offense. I think most people would agree with me on that. But I think Gunner has a true running talent, mobility that could bring a new skills and a new dynamic to a Georgia rushing attack that really was not that great last year overall, all things considered. And that's been one of the biggest talking points against Georgia's offense in 2025 is the rushing attack and the unknowns. I think even it's either David Pollock or Aaron Murray. I want to say it was Aaron Murray. Earlier today I saw a video where he came out and said the reason to be suspicious about Georgia, I guess, was kind of his wording to some extent. Like he said there's real reason to have that reservation, I guess, about Georgia's rushing attack. I think with a guy like Gunnar Stockton, it opens up a lot. I don't think it's going to be a real issue. On top of this, for the running game, Nate Frazier, being back in his second year, who we're actually going to look over Nate's film later in this episode. I'm excited to see Nate for a number of reasons. I think he came in last year. He came in last year, not during spring camp or spring ball, but he came in during fall camp. Definitely put him behind for a while. He's behind a lot of guys on that depth chart last year, including Branson Robinson and Roderick Robinson, who ended up jumping, or at least getting more time over as the year went on. He was also behind Trevor Etienne. But when he got in, he was Georgia's leading rusher, considering he wasn't even the starting guy, and a lot of games didn't see a lot of time or a lot of carries. He was still Georgia's leading rusher, which was very impressive. I believe that he had the most yards per carry by a Georgia freshman since Nick Chubb. I think I did a post on that earlier this offseason. So that's a very interesting stat, something to look towards as well. Nate has some things, and we're going to look at this in film later, that he could get better at. But overall, Nate is definitely a very comfortable guy. As I've spoken to on this show, my favorite player on the team this year. But I do think there's some things he could get better at, as all players could. But I definitely you'll see it later. I've got some really great plays and some lesser plays of him. But I think a lot of this stuff, and he's been very loud about how he's going to fix these things heading into the 2025 season. So I'm not too worried about it, but I do want to highlight it because it is part of film study showing the strengths and weaknesses. Colby Young, he's still being talked about a good bit just among the Georgia faithful because he, everything he went through last year, and everyone saw the kind of the safety valve he was becoming for Carson Beck at a certain point last year. That being said, I don't think he's being talked about enough, and he's being overshadowed by Noah Thomas and Zach Branch. Zach Branch, obviously a fantastic player. Noah's the same. They're for different reasons, I would say, and I've gone over this before. But and they're great, and they deserve the recognition that they're getting. But I do think it's kind of causing Colby Young to be not as looked at. Same thing for Dylan Bell. Dylan Bell doesn't get enough credit or enough, how should I word this? He doesn't get enough apologies for the way he was treated by the fan base last year, in my opinion. He was treated pretty unfairly for two reasons. Of course, he dropped some passes. He dropped some He dropped some passes in a scrimmage a couple weeks ago. But even still, Dylan was playing at a position that's not really his position for much of the year. Same for London Humphreys because of the loss of Colby Young and Robert Thomas. Losing those two guys, losing your two true wideouts, your true jump ball guys, 5 weeks into the season, you don't have either one of them, or 6 weeks, I think. Right after the Auburn game, you lost both of them, or you had lost both of them by that point. So it's kind of tough to put some blame on somebody for stepping into a position that really isn't theirs and expecting them to play perfectly or play like Colby would. But Dylan's going to be, I feel like, and I've said this again so many times, Swiss Army knife. There's even a picture of him that came out the other day, or maybe it was today, of him at running back, playing some running back, which we saw that in 2023 when Georgia's depth at running back was definitely a little slimmer, or at least we had some players that were hurt, and he got some time. He had a touchdown against Ball State. He threw one from the running back position against Tennessee that year. So Just excited to see where we can put Dylan Bell, where he can create mismatches. I think you can put him mostly anywhere, even though, as I just said, I don't think a true wideout was his spot. If you need to put him there, I don't think you're going to have too much trouble. I think he can play anywhere on the field pretty much, which is very exciting to see about him. Defensively, we've got more breakout players than I just mentioned for the offense, and I'm going to go through them a little more quickly. C.J. Allen is the obvious one. I just ranked C.J. Allen as the number one player for Georgia in 2025 for several reasons. I think he had some pretty solid production last year. He had more total tackles, I believe, and more sacks total over his first 2 years than Roquan Smith did over his first 2 years. Interesting stat there. On top of this, I think he's a true leader. Like, there's so many videos of, and Jalen Walker's an incredible leader before I say this, but there's so many videos of C.J. Allen really being the one that speaks to that room and leads that room, which, I mean, that makes sense for the starting middle linebacker to be that. But when you got a guy like Jalen Walker there, and he even recognizes and is like, okay, you're the leader of this group, or at least that's the way it seems in a lot of these speeches, it's pretty cool. It's pretty inspiring to see, as a second-year player, what C.J. Allen can be from a leadership standpoint. I think he's only going to get faster and stronger and better from year 2 to year 3. I believe it was Brooks Austin. I was watching some of his film review on C.J. Allen, talking about how the steps that Nakobe Dean made from year 2 to year 3 were he got better as a blitzer. He did a better job of getting through gaps and getting lower, getting skinnier. And I don't know if he mentioned this part, but I'm going to. Nakobe Dean got a lot better as a pass coverage linebacker from year 2 to year 3. And a lot of that is due to the fact that he worked with defensive backs that offseason, did a lot of defensive back drills to kind of improve his ability to guard receivers, guard tight ends, or whoever. And I think C.J. Allen's overall not a bad coverage linebacker. Obviously, that's not his strength or his main thing. I think he could probably refine that just a little bit heading into 2025. Justin Williams, the reason I put him on here for breakout players is because I do think he's truly an athletic freak. I saw him walking out of a practice about 2 months ago now, and he was walking with a bunch of linemen, and he looked just as big as the linemen. Like, it was unreal. He's definitely got size. He's got speed. I mean, he's your typical number one ranked linebacker in his class, 5-star linebacker. It's just that he hasn't been able to see much time because last year you did have Jalen Walker, you did have Smile London. Chris Cole was more versatile for sure than Justin Williams. Speaking of Chris Cole, he's also on this list. He'll probably see a good bit of playing time. They're trying to keep him at outside backer or on the edge as opposed to inside linebacker, which I like. It's kind of the same deal with Jalen Walker. Jalen Walker can play either one, but I like him better on the line or down in the closer to the line on the edge. And I think they're going to have the same sort of idea for Chris Cole. Either way, he can play both ways. Very versatile player. Excited to see what he can do for the University of Georgia. As I mentioned, Ellis Robinson seems to be making strides in his position battle. Not sure if it's too worthy yet to say that he's going to be the starter just because of the other extenuating circumstances and known things about how fall camp does typically run. Still, I think he probably will see some very good time this year. Given that he was the number one corner in the class, people forget how highly ranked this dude was coming out of college or out of high school. He may have been the highest ranked player ever on 24/7. He was definitely up there. They really got a gem with him, and they got him early on in that 2024 cycle as well. I think he wants to be with Georgia very badly, and I don't think Georgia's going to be able to keep Ellis Robinson off the field. They might start Daniel Harris, but they can't keep Ellis Robinson off the field, in my opinion. He's too talented, too good to not play some valuable time. On top of this, Elijah Griffin. Everyone knows they're doing Elijah Griffin, another just athletic freak. 6'4", 310, 20 miles an hour. We've all heard that stat by now. But I think he will probably start pretty early on in his Georgia career. I don't know whether that's going to be start of season. I don't think it will be. I don't think he may not even start this year, but he'll see some valuable time. And I say he probably won't start this year just because he's got guys like Christian Miller and Jordan Hall in front of him. He'll probably cut into their time. He'll cut into Xavier McLeod's time probably. He's another guy who you can't keep Elijah Griffin or Ellis Robinson off the field this year if you're Georgia, I believe. Christian Miller, as I just mentioned, he is very impressive and very underrated, really. Or at least he has been for most of his career. I think this year he's finally starting to get some of the traction in the media for his talents. which is, again, another exciting thing to see. I believe he's got a good first step. He's violent. He's violent with his hands. But I think that's something you'll probably see from the Georgia defensive line this year. Some more Jalen Carter-like vibes from this Georgia defensive line than you had in years past. Even though you're losing a couple guys up there, you're losing Stackhouse, you're losing Brinson, I do think you'll replace that fairly well with guys like Christian Miller and Elijah Griffin. And then finally, last one I put on here, I don't know who JH is. I wrote down JH, and I can't figure out who JH is. Jordan Hall. It's Jordan Hall. Jordan Hall. I was really excited. I was really excited when we got Jordan Hall. I believe it was that December of 2022, because he was class of 23. Because he came in with Damon Wilson and Samuel Mpemba, which, speaking of those two, I expected to lose Mpemba. In the transfer portal, I did not expect to lose Damon Wilson, and I think Georgia's kind of similar with the way they think on that. Also wasn't expecting Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins to leave last year, which he's replaceable, but it definitely sucks to lose him because I was really excited. I was always a big fan of him, Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins. But Jordan Hall, I think, again, just a bunch of raw talent. He's been hurt a lot. He's just got to go out there and prove it. I think he'll get it done. I'm excited to see him play. That's really my whole spiel for him. So we've got one more thing I want to run into before we go to the Nate Frazier film, which is what the first 4 weeks, or first 5 weeks really, of Georgia's season will say. Georgia's schedule, you've got Austin P you got Marshall August 30th, Austin P on September 6th, Tennessee September 13th, bye week September 20th, Alabama September 27th. So you got Marshall, Austin P, Tennessee, bye week, Alabama. Three things that you're going to see in those first 5 weeks. The three things that you really will be able to tell, just even off those early indicators, will give us pretty telling answers on these topics, are quick starts for the Georgia offense, catching the ball, catching passes, and tackling well. And Kirby even talked about this earlier, just speaking on the most recent scrimmage, the second fall camp scrimmage. Georgia's got to get better at tackling. Georgia definitely had a tackling issue last year. I encourage y'all to look at the first play from the Georgia Tech game, the very first play from scrimmage. Jamal Haynes, or whatever his name is, he breaks like 5 tackles, and it was just poor tackling. It wasn't even that he made an incredible play. It was just bad tackling. So Georgia, and it's not been up to Kirby Smart's standard at Georgia to not tackle well. Or it was not up to his standard last year, because his standard is to be a good, sound defensive team, a conservative tackling football team. And they just didn't live up to that. But I think that's one thing you'll see through the first 4 weeks, and they can get better over the progression of the year. It could progress over the year, but I don't think. I do think that you'll see a good indicator of what the rest of the year is going to look like through those first 4 games. Quick starts. Mike Bobo even came out and owned this, and everyone knows that we called games too soft, too slow tempo, trying to keep a lead or to not lose a game. One thing that Mike Bobo struggles to do, and I was very critical of him. I'm still critical of him, but I've kind of taken a step back on the the Mike Bobo slander, just because I realize now that there are so many more things that play into what went wrong with Georgia's offense last year than just Mike Bobo. But I'm still not on a lot of Georgia fans' sides where it's like, oh, Mike Bobo's just an incredible offensive coordinator. I think he's got a great football mind. I'm not sold on the coordinator part yet. Let's see what he can do with a really talented team. He did it a lot of times in his first stint with Georgia. He did it in 2023. He also had Brock Bowers and Lon McConkey. So I've maybe done it before, but kind of backtracked on my word. I've not really fully written off Mike Bobo. It's a do or die year for him. And I mean, I'm rooting for him. I think he really loves Georgia and enjoys being in Athens. And I think he's a very personable guy. People don't look at that because of the fact that they don't like his play calling. I mean, those things are true. You want people who want to be in Athens and really care about Georgia, and he's one of those guys, so I give him credit for that. But he even came out earlier last week or this week and said that one of our biggest goals in fall camp has been trying to start quickly, not have all these slow starts and have to play from behind, which we had to do a lot last year. Be aggressive. That's one thing Todd Monken did such a great job of, was being aggressive. Look at that Georgia-Tennessee game in 2022. Aggression. That's not like it's not like Bobo was just, it's not like Monken was just calling passive plays and just slowly moving the ball down the field. He is being aggressive and pushing it against the Tennessee defense. And when you see a Georgia team that's aggressive on offense and pushing the ball down the field, that's when Georgia is dangerous. And you saw it in that 2022 season. You saw it a good bit in the 2021 season as well. And then catching passes. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know that James Coley can just sit back and magically teach people to catch the ball better. Maybe he can run better drills. Or I don't know why people throw the blame on Coley as much for these drops. I think it's just a simple issue that Georgia had struggles catching the ball. I think one of the reasons for that would be that, and this might be kind of out there, but Carson Beck doesn't throw a pretty football. It's not a good foul usually. You didn't see as many drops in the Notre Dame game when Gunner came in. You didn't see as many drops in the second half of the Texas game. And again, I'm not saying that's the whole reason. There could be other underlying reasons, but I do think that's something that at least deserves some attention. But I don't blame Coley for the catching. I was not a fan of Coley when he was a play caller in 2019, but I think he's a good recruiter. I think he's a pretty solid coach. I don't throw coaching it on him at all. Colby Young he has great hands. So does Noah Thomas. So does Zach Branch. Zach Branch had a couple drops early on in fall camp, I believe, but he's getting back. He's getting back to the a point where he can catch it consistently. As I noted earlier, Dylan Bell had a couple drops in the last scrimmage, or the previous one of the scrimmages. He had a couple drops, but I'm not as worried about it. If we have drop problems this year, I don't know what the deal is. I just don't know how you blame the wide receiver coach for drops. He can't magically teach kids who have been catching the football for their whole life. Somehow they get to him and they can't catch the football. Maybe they're not doing enough of the drills y'all think help them catch better. I don't know. But those are three things you're going to see early on in the first 4 to 5 weeks of the season are quick starts, catching the ball, and tackling well. So now we're going to go into Nate Frazier's film. We're going to look at some of his pros and cons and why you should be really excited to see him in the 2025 season. All right, so we're going to go and look at Nate's film. Some things I'll go ahead and tell you before we look at it. One of Nate's most impressive attributes is, I'm not going to call him a smaller back because he's not small. He's your typical height for a running back. I would feel like, I don't know his height off the top of my head. Point being, he doesn't look small, but for a guy who's not exactly your bruiser type, he will seek contact, or he's not afraid of running through contact. Which is something I find very similar between him and Sony Michel. Guys who are like shifty backs first, elusive running backs, but they're not afraid to seek contact and deliver a hit. So that's pretty impressive, and you'll see that in some of these, I feel like, or really their ability to hit the hole, to find gaps. So that's something impressive about him, I'll say early on. We're going to go and look at this play. These are a couple plays from the Clemson game. This is the first play. This was the one I wanted to look at right here. It's his ability to make these quick cuts, and you'll see it right here. This is impressive anticipation by him. You've got Jared Wilson and that looks like Ernest Green on a double team. Ernest is hinging. Dalen Fairchild is pulling. Looks like Delp is also, I wouldn't consider that pulling, but he's also splitting, I guess. The way Nate, and it probably looks bigger in person, but look how small that gap is, like right there. I know he's probably practiced this play a good bit, but this gap right here is so small. Anticipation is pretty incredible right here, especially that one cut right there. That one cut, look at that. That one cut gets him 4 yards. A cut, then a step gets him 4 yards on that play. He's very fast. And there was a note from Justin Williams. I don't know when he said this, but it came out in an article the other day from Rivals. It was one of those player stories they put out. But it was Justin Williams saying, when he first got at Georgia and he went against Nate Frazier, there was one play where Nate made a cut and Justin completely missed him. And before Justin can turn around, or as Justin's turning around, Nate's 20 yards downfield. So, he's got a pretty impressive ability to get downfield pretty quickly. Very fast, raw speed from Frazier. This play, he's wide open, but I just want to showcase the speed again, the quickness. That is some true speed. I mean, quickness in the cuts as well. You really see it in this Clemson game. Here's another one right here. This is probably one of my favorite plays of his all year just because of the celebration. I love the celebration on this. I love that Nate Frazier paid homage to the Georgia greats that came before him. The Jazz, the praying hands and the Jazz hands, the bow. Thought that was really cool. Let's see. This was his biggest play of the Clemson game. This one's pretty impressive. We might look at this for a minute. Some pretty dang good blocking on the interior as well. Good job. I don't know if Tate meets some. Yeah, Tate doesn't really do much right there, but that's not. I don't blame that on him. A good. I don't even know what that is. Let's see. Looks like Arian comes and cracks down on 17. 71. That's Ernest Green. Gets outside. Nate makes the guy miss right here. There was one point where this play looks insane. When you look at it, like right here, like look at this image. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got 6 Clemson defenders. 2 of them are engaged in blocks, really. Maybe 3 if you want to count 0 on Ernest Green. Nate Frazier should not be getting out of this play at all. Makes this one guy miss, just the quickness he has. That one cut he makes right there, I think that sets him off. 18 or 10, misses a tackle right here. And he's off. 18, yeah, that was 10 over there. 18 right here. 18 doesn't know it's coming for him on this play. Whoop. Goodbye. 7 has no chance. Dom Lovett lays a pretty good. He gets in the way. Not really a block, but he gets in his way. So, and honestly, just a good tackle by 20. And then one other thing that's impressive, and I hope you can get back to this sort of standard of fire, passion, and energy like Kirby's been talking about. Look at the blockers you got downfield. That's Monroe Freeling all the way downfield, I believe, right there. Monroe Freeling is ahead of everyone looking for a block, some way to help. I would probably like him to... I don't know. I think he's kind of in a position where he's doing good. But look, you got Aaron Smith all the way down the field. Got Colby Young and Dominic Lovett ready to block. They were getting off their earlier block, so that's why they didn't catch up to 20, I don't think. Or maybe someone got off that block. Yeah, Colby, I don't think Colby had. Colby did his job. I think he probably got a little lazy there at the end. But dude just got off, made a good tackle. But it's impressive to see that many guys blocking downfield that late in the play. I know Kirby loves that, and I know Bobo loves that. This was one of his last plays of the game right here. This cut right here is violent. Look at this. This one cut is insane. No chance. No chance. We'll look at that play again. Look at the number of defenders here as well. I mean, you can see when he's making that cut that he has an angle. But like right here, if you look at that play at that moment right there, it doesn't look like he has a way out. Makes a pretty impressive cut. Gets about 20 yards, I want to say, on the play. Yeah, 15. We'll take it, though. We'll take it. That's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive stuff right there in the Clemson game. I will say he did not get a lot of time after this game. He didn't see a lot of carries. I believe what that Rivals article I'm talking about was saying was that he had 30 carries over the next 6 games. So from Tennessee Tech to Texas, I believe that's 6 games right there. Maybe to Florida as well. He had 30 carries combined on those games. But I love this play. I don't even think it's the most impressive. I'll say one thing I was wondering about when I watched this the first time was why Truss doesn't go in for 0 right there. I don't know if that's a bluff or a blunder. Maybe, I think what they're anticipating is that Nate's going to try and cut it to this pylon right here. So he's trying to get outside and get this guy out of the way. But Frazier obviously sees that the play's broken down, gets through 3 people. Touchdown. I had to show the celebration. I know he got a flag on it. I don't really care right now because we won the game. I got to show the celebration. I think it comes up in a minute. Nope, it doesn't come up. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, he does the gator chomp. Oh, I cut out the part where he got the flag. That was deceptive on my part. I meant to do that. He got the flag. You see it there. This is one of the few critiques I have of Frazier. As a freshman running back, what he's done is pretty incredible, but he does struggle at times to hold on to the football. He fumbled a couple times last year. I'm not sure off the top of my head how many times. This was one of the most costly ones. Third quarter against Ole Miss, you're in Ole Miss territory. You're at their 29, 2nd and 7. I honestly couldn't tell you why we're running a screen to the running back out of a wide receiver screen. That's just 2024 Georgia for you, I guess. But he can't drop this ball. And I know it's a rainy game, but this can't happen for Georgia in 2025. It's such a weird. What is this play? Just from start to finish, I don't get it. I'm not blaming Urasek here. I just don't know what the draw up is here. You've got I think he's just trying to pull away those linebackers. But when you've got a guy, like look at this set right here, just barely post snap. This does not make sense to me at all, because you've got this guy right here. He's playing at about 4 yards depth. These two are also 4. Like, I don't know why this sort of pass. It feels like it's designed to go to Frazier the whole way, but the look is just terrible. Point being, though, you need to hold on to the football as a SEC running back, and Nate knows this, and he's even openly said like that how he's going to fix this. Like, this will not be a problem for him this upcoming season. This play is great. Another example of him being able to find gaps at the goal line. This is a big play versus Tennessee. 2.5 minutes left in the game. I want to give credit to Chaz Chambliss for putting a pretty good block on whoever that dude is for Tennessee. No one knows. Great blocking, but at the same time, it's a touchdown, so I wanted to show it. It's great. He's great at goal line situations. Again, not afraid to seek contact. He's fast. He's quick. Can get through gaps. Can find the gap. You're going to see it in just a minute against Georgia Tech in that 8 overtime thriller right here. This one's more impressive. I feel like there is a lane. It's definitely less of one. Again, both of these are pretty routine runs for a running back, but I just think it's still impressive with the anticipation and hitting the hole. He hits the hole pretty quickly here. Let's watch him in real speed. Does a very good job getting downhill quick here. Now, I will say, one thing I noticed, again, Frazier's my favorite player, so I'm not I'm not trying to sugarcoat it and be like he's perfect, because every player can get better in some way. But one of the biggest things with Frazier would be a lot of times he's quick, he gets downhill, but he does have times where he struggles with ball carrier vision, I feel like, just a little bit, or could not even that he tries to make a guy miss and lose his downfield yards because of it. That's not even really what I'm trying to go for when I say this. But I just feel like sometimes he's sort of indecisive with what way he wants to cut or how he wants to play it when he's got two guys right in front of him. So that's one thing. I think his ball security and his ball carrier vision could get better for him this season. We're going to look this next game. We got Texas and Notre Dame plays here. This one's great. This is a very impressive cut. You see the true speed right there. I'm going to show you that last part of that play again. Breakaway speed right here. Acceleration. Boom. That's Jahdae Barron right there. That's great speed. This cut's impressive. This is what Gunner does. And I really, really hope I remember to post this part of the highlight. This is what Gunner Stockton does for Georgia in 2025. You're handing the ball to Frazier. But this is a great little, I don't know if this is an RPO or if they're just trying to make it look like it's an RPO. But you've got Dom Lovett right here. That's taking this guy. This guy's got to play that and that. Then you got this guy right here who's playing, it looks like he's playing Gunner right here. Looks like he's having to contain Gunner. You know what this does, though? This brings, I'm going to show you this real quick. This is pretty impressive how this works. This brings these three guys over for the blocker, for Dom, and for Gunner should he take the ball. So now you've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You've got 7 players on pretty much 5 at the line of scrimmage. So you got favorable numbers here for Frazier. If everyone just holds on to their block, this is a very favorable play. This is an example of how Gunnar Stockton and his running abilities will help the Georgia ground game in 2024 or in 2025. It's a game of numbers, and when you can spread people out like that, because you have a quarterback who can run, I don't think you see as much of it on this play. Looks like they're sending a blitz, definitely. I don't even know what that was right there. The way they switch. Maybe that's something they put into practice when they see those block combinations. Maybe they switch. I don't know. I've never really seen that. I don't think you get as much of that QB read defense here. I think you're just getting some great lanes created by Georgia. I don't know what happens to the Texas defense right here, where this gap forms. I think Monroe Freeling just does a really good job of hinging right here and turning this guy outside, keeping him outside because the lane is inside. This is another example of that ball security, though. He gets this ball punched out right here, and, I mean, he really shouldn't fumble at all. I don't know if he just doesn't see him. Really, the way he's playing this, I don't think he sees 4 at all. I think he just ball carrier vision. There you go. I just don't think he sees him. I think he could see the field a little better, hold on to the ball a little better, and I think he could get really good. I think he could have a great year. Huge credit to Arian Smith right here for picking up this football. Huge heads-up play. Is that Malik Muhammad? That may not be his name. I'm sorry if that's not his name. I don't know. But he beats the guy for the... Don't know why this video's not going. Does a great job beating him for... Does a great job beating him for the fumble recovery. I don't know why my thing's not resuming, y'all. Sorry. But we're going to go ahead and go into this Notre Dame game. He's got a couple plays in this game. Maybe it's just this one, actually. I love this play. I love this design. You know how much the defense has to be ready for that? I mean, look, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 right here are all worried about this right here. Or, sorry, the possibility of Arian taking this right here. By the time Nate's running this way, these 4 are still looking over here at Arian. So that's a great play, and I'm hoping Zach Branch could be one of those guys for Georgia this year as sort of a decoy on these fake end-run plays. Again, I don't know why this video's not resuming. Got some pretty good blocking here. Great cut, though. Great cut, seeing that he's got this lane open right here. Again, in part due to the fact that Arian took some guys with him, eye candy in the backfield. He does a great job cutting up. And you see some speed right here. I don't know that these are the greatest athletes right here from Notre Dame. These 3. These 2 just get manhandled on their blocks as well. But, I mean, speed. I think this is another example of the ball carrier vision. I don't think it's as extreme here. But if he does, instead of trying to do this little cut right here, just take it up the sideline where Parker Jones is, he would probably be getting some extra yards there. So, still a big run in a moment where Georgia needed a big run. Obviously, it didn't go out the way Georgia wanted it to. But still, big run in a pretty crucial moment. It's exciting to see what Georgia does have in Nate Frazier this year. Obviously, he's going to have a very stacked running back room. The other freshmen from last year, Chancey Bowens and Dwight Phillips. You've also got Josh McCray coming in. I'm hoping he'll be a short yardage guy. We could review some film on him sometime. Some players I want to look at would be him, Chris Cole. I looked at Elijah Griffin and Noah Thomas, and I don't think I've really done Zach Branch. Zach Branch's film on these podcasts. That could be a good one to go over. I know a lot of people have just seen the same Southern Cal clips. I mean, that's all we have is Southern Cal clips, really, to go off of for him. Last thing I wanted to note, we did the Bible verse, the faith part the last time. I don't really have a good thing prepared for y'all, so because I also didn't know I was going to be recording this at the time that I'm making it. So I'll come up with something better for next week. Next week will be a little more outlined and similar to some of my other in-season posts I do on my page. It'll be a lot based off of that. So my analysis that I've been running with Georgia Dogs coverage now for like 4 or 5 years. The first part of this episode, or these episodes, will be kind of like that sort of thing. We'll go over film from both teams. I'll give a score prediction. Try to start bringing people on for interviews next week. It's just I kind of wanted to establish the identity of the show and what it's going to look like, and then I get some people on and be like, hey, this is what it's going to look like. This is kind of what we're dealing with. But anyway, I'm excited that you all watched, and I'm glad I could get back to doing this. Thank you all for watching. Please subscribe. Go follow on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, X. Know that I have the playlist for the podcast. There's 3 episodes now. They're all in the YouTube folder. Go check it out. I post some of these smaller clips on I post my smaller clips from these podcasts on all the platforms, really. So go check those out. If you don't have a great attention span and just skip to the end of the video, go check those pages out. Got some good stuff going up there. But thank y'all. God bless. Go Dogs. Have a great weekend.